Hi guys, welcome to the realm of astrology. This is your daily horoscope for Monday, July 19th, 2021. Now, before I begin, for those of you who are watching me for the first time, I also do weekly horoscopes and monthly sun rising sign horoscopes, and definitely the daily horoscopes just like this one. And you can watch all these on my YouTube channel. I also request you to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. And now let's get started. I want to keep this as short as possible. So I'm going to talk about the most important events of the day. Now, this is something that happens at about 3 a.m. Pacific time, and I spoke about this in my weekend video as well, but I'll just mention it very briefly because it's happening today technically. The first thing is that Mars here is going to square the moon while the moon is trining Neptune. Now, this is a mixed energy, right? On one hand, we are feeling very good, we're feeling very spiritual, but on the other hand, there can be moments of frustration, of irritation. And that's because Mars is squaring the moon, which can feel frustrating. So if you're feeling that, let this energy pass. And that's the first thing, right? Now, the second thing happens at about 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. So let me move up the chart. And yeah, it's right here. The moon here is sextile in Pluto retrograde, 60-degree angle, and this is 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, which makes it about 7 p.m. India time. And Pluto is catharsis, it's healing, it's regeneration, it's transformation, it's the ending of something and beginning of something new, right? And the moon is our emotions, and it's our inner heart and soul. And over the weekend, the moon did square Pluto 90-degree angle, which meant there was a transformation to our emotions even then, but it felt very difficult in some ways. And that transformation was within. But this transformation that's taking place is coming quite naturally. Perhaps the difficult transformation on the weekend facilitated us towards this transformation that is now feeling quite easily, that is now feeling quite natural at about 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. India time. And that's simply because these two are sextiling. Okay. And then soon after this, we have another mixed energy. And that's 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, which makes it about 10 p.m. India time. And it's that the Venus here is squaring the moon 90-degree angle, while the moon is trining the sun 120-degree angle. Now, 120-degree angle, a trine is positive, 90-degree angle, a square is challenging. Now, at this point, emotionally, we can feel quite stressed out about our relationships, about our projects, about finances, about our self-worth, about our values, if we're learning something, then our skills. And that's because Venus is all these things, and the moon, our emotions, is squaring it. There's something that is amiss here. There is something that we need to adjust when it comes to our relationships, love, money, projects, self-worth, skills, values, so that we can feel good about that. And perhaps this is coming because the moon in Scorpio, which it has been most of the weekend and continues to be until a few hours more, is about digging deep and finding the truth, right? Perhaps there's something that we have uncovered connected to our love, relationships, money, projects, finances, all Venus things that can make us feel a little stressed out and requires us to adjust something. So that's happening. But at the same time, the sun is trining the moon, right? Which means that whatever change we make to Venus things, love, money, projects, is in some way supporting our soul, is supporting our consciousness and our identity. The sun is all these things. The sun is our soul, identity, and consciousness. So it's a mixed energy. On one hand, we can even be feeling very good emotionally, but this part of us, Venus, love, relationships, money, all these things, that can be like, okay, I'm feeling very good, but then I need to make this change here in my project. That's what's getting to me a little bit. So it's a mixed energy again. And then by lunchtime, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, we move up the chart. The moon's going to enter the sign of Sag, right? So the moon here has changed signs. It's entered the sign of Sagittarius, and this is 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, which makes it 2 a.m. India time, right? And the moon here first of all, is going to square Jupiter retrograde. We'll talk about this, but let me tell you what the moon in Sag means. The moon changes signs about every 2.5 days, and when it does, the focus in our life, the energy with which we function, changes in very subtle ways. Okay, the moon in Scorpio was about digging deep. It was intense. It was about finding the truth. In many ways, it was about transformation as well, healing as well, catharsis as well. And the moon honestly does not like to be in the sign of Scorpio. But in Sag is a completely different energy from Scorpio. Sag is the most optimistic. It is the most happy, hopeful, joyous, fun-loving sign of the zodiac. So the moon in Sagittarius is our emotions, the energy is very adventurous, it's very fun-loving, it's very optimistic, it's very hopeful. So for the next 2.5 days, that's the vibe, right? And we are going to be focused on knowledge, acquiring wisdom, on perhaps doing something adventurous, perhaps even sports, all Sagittarius things. And however, the moon here is going to conjunct the South Node, right? And whatever planet comes in contact with the South Node feels drained. So there might be a moment where in the next 2.5 days where we feel drained in our emotions and our energy. We'll talk about that, but that's something to expect, right? But let's talk about the first aspect this moon is making. And the moon is squaring Jupiter retrograde, and Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. This can be a moment as soon as the moon enters the sign of Sagittarius, instead of feeling hopeful, joyous, optimistic, there might be a feeling of lack of optimism. And that's because it's in a square to Jupiter. Jupiter is optimism, it is joy, it is hope, and square is friction, right? So there might be a moment where we feel a lack of hope, but adjusting something, changing something will help us regain that hope. And this feeling of lack of optimism can be very well connected to something from the recent past. But it's temporary. It's not going to last very long, couple of hours. So that's the good news. And that's pretty much all the energy for the day, okay? I want to keep it as short as possible. I also want you to know that the moon here is going to trine Mars and Venus, all right? And it is going to trine Chiron. So a lot of fire energy, a lot of positivity is building up in many ways. We'll talk about the other things as and when they happen. And I will pick a card for the day. And before that, I will give a brief background of what's been happening in the astrology, because these are the currents that I'm going to mention that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, although they may not be happening exactly today. And the first of those energies is the Saturn-Uranus square, right? These two planets are squaring after 21 years, so a long time. And this energy is asking us to change. It's asking us to embrace the new and get rid of the old, and we'll feel this energy all year. It's also asking us to embrace our authentic self. And this transformation from the old to the new, from who we think we should be and who we actually are, can feel quite challenging, because they're squaring. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we are building a cycle that started in December of 2020 with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. These planets meet up once in 20 years, and they met up about 6 months ago and started a new cycle of 20 years. And right now we are laying the foundation for it. And we will do so for the next 2 years. And the last thing that I will mention is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Now, these planets met up in Jan of 2020, so a year and a half ago, and they met up after 38 years and started a new cycle that will stay with us till 2053. So we are still understanding that cycle, building on it, and I think in the next 2 years we will figure it out more and more. And now I will pick a card for today, and then we'll close out the reading. Okay, I'm gonna go with this card. It says Thinker. I think this card is telling us to maybe go within today. Go within and think about things. Think about what's going on, and that's pretty much it, right? It's pretty straightforward today. Think about things, go within, examine. And with the Mars-Moon square, we can feel frustrated, right? It can be impulsive as well with the moon involved. Impulsive emotional decisions. can come about. So perhaps think it out a little. That's the vibe. And do hit the subscribe button, do hit the bell icon, and I will see you all tomorrow for my daily horoscope. Have a great Monday. Bye.